Shiba Inu has exited the weekend just a little bit higher than where it entered. And on a weekend where volume was a little bit lower, we got to see what the actual trends were. And the trend was, in fact, accumulation. Not really a surprising thing. We've seen this many times before. And now it's a question of, can we muster up some strength and break out of this descending wedge that we've been stuck in now for several weeks here? We need to actually discuss what's going on in terms of holders. We need to actually reference something that has happened for whales over the course of 2025. Pretty shocking numbers there. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. You know, many assets throughout the crypto market are printing a green day. Not really a surprising thing because, again, we've gotten into such an oversold range. We are bound to have some sort of bounce. Now, what we could see for Shib, if in a perfect world, this is probably how things would play out, is Shib would actually run up to the top of this trend. If we get a lot of volume and some buying, we might actually run up and try to touch these moving averages here and maybe get a bit of a rejection. Just pay attention to that before trying to make our extension. Not saying this is going to happen for sure, but you know, if we are actually starting a bounce and a breakthrough, that's probably the way it would play out. We've seen this many times before for Shib. Also at the same time, if we get a big buying surge and a lot of optimism, we can see Shib print those just massive green candles as well. I want to remind everybody, last time we were building this exact trend was back here in April and May. And then we had candles of, 12.5 or 12.45%, 4.5%, another 13% day, right? So Shib can just muster up some momentum and some positivity. And I will say what's going on in terms of Shib supply has been very promising for this as well. And I'll get to that more here in just a moment. But BTC doing a great job of getting back in structure, like I've talked about in other videos. Ethereum bouncing above its 20-day moving average. BTC dominance looking like a confirmed drop here. Total 3 fighting for a breakout as well. Won't spend too much time on those things because, again, everything's right where we want it to be. So hopefully U.S. money decides to play ball today and continue with the trend from Sunday. So we'll see what happens there. Now, something I did want to point out to you guys is, first of all, we have actually breached 1.53 million holders. So that's awesome. Community keeps growing, keeps seeing a lot of resilience. And in fact, I'm not sure if anybody realizes this, but our average hold time for Shiba Inu is 2.8 years. That's a long period of time, guys. So that is a real testament to the conviction of holders. And some people will say, oh yeah, that's because everybody's stuck in terms of price. No, they're not. Right now, we're at about a 40% of holders either in or at the money. We've had many times that this has been well above 50%, and people just continue to hold. You know, the 1 cent dream is what a lot of people are focused on. I'm focused on late market cycle, right? I want to see, obviously, how Shib is going to react when retail adoption is taking place. That is when Shib tends to perform its best. And that's been the biggest thing that's been lacking in this market cycle so far. One thing I did want to point out here as well is this hold time in terms of transacted coins has still remained very low. It's just shorter term holders that have been capitulating. Okay. And oh gosh, there was something else I was going to show in here too. I can't remember what it was, but one thing I did want to actually refer to here is what has happened over the course of 2025. I'm a visual person. I like to see it this way. And I think this paints a very obvious picture of how things have been playing out. When we look at where we started this year, whale holdings were 574 trillion Shib, which is not exactly that. I'll show you that in just a moment. Investors, 148 trillion Shib. That's those that are more mid-sized wallets, speculators, right? And retail has held 261.4 trillion Shib. Now you have to remember with whales, there is a 410 trillion Shib wallet. I've had questions about this before. This is the burn wallet. This is a dead-end wallet that nobody has access to. That means 41% of the total supply is never going to see the light of day again, which is good, right? I can't really complain about reducing supply. And like I've said many times before, supply is not an issue for people that keep saying that. Stop pointing that. You're not doing yourself any favors. It's not how it works. So what we saw at that point is Shiba Inu holders or whales actually held 160 trillion Shib. Now fast forward to today, 605 trillion Shib. So they've increased their holdings over the course of 2025. 25%? That's a pretty big move by whales. And like we've talked about in the breakdowns that I've done, they just keep buying and buying and buying. And what's been shrinking is a little bit of retail, because retail has actually shrunk from 261 trillion Shib held down to 254 trillion Shib held. And where the big change has been is in those mid-sized wallets, again, falling from basically 151 trillion Shib down to 123 trillion Shib. Okay. So why this is such a good setup is those speculators are the ones that tend to move the price. When we start to get into some of these rallies, they're what allow us to extend. Unfortunately, they tend to be more short-term people, so they buy, the price moves up, they tend to sell, right? That's why we get those runs up, get those retracements, runs up, get those retracements, right? And so now we're at this point where the speculators in Shib have been very, very small, not a huge presence of them. But when price starts moving and starts doing some of these breakouts, that is how you can get these candles, right? So right now we're perfectly set up for that. And I will say that, anybody saying that whales have been the reason that Shiv has been dropping, no, it's not. The market has just been, frankly, shit, right? The sentiment has just been garbage. And for assets that are sentiment driven, that are based on retail emotions and how they're reacting at the time, that's kind of where we've been stuck at, right? So I will say, again, optics, like I talked about yesterday, they remain elevated. People are paying attention to the crypto market more than they ever have. And the more this administration keeps talking about crypto, the more we keep hearing about it in the news, the closer we're getting to, these moments again, or these moments from last market cycle. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Love what we're seeing in terms of fundamentals. Love what we're seeing in the charts right now. And hopefully we can start getting a little bit excited as the week progresses. But I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below. But have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.